morning, guys. Happy Friday. So I'm going to go ahead and lead us through a balancing class today. So you don't really need anything. If you have blocks, you can certainly use them at certain points. You certainly don't need anything though, but just kind of allow yourself to come into this with no expectations. I may fall several times. Balance is one of those things that can sometimes be hit or miss, so just kind of let it go and we'll just kind of get through it together. So let's get started in child's pose. So you can just bring your big toes together to touch. Take your knees as narrow or as wide as you would like, and then sit your hips back over your heels. You can have your arms extended long, or you can have them back by your side if that feels a little bit more comfortable to you. I always like to take a few moments to kind of wiggle around in my child's pose, so kind of pulling back my hips from one side to the other, rocking my forehead, kind of rotating through the upper body a little bit, just kind of swaying from side to side. So take any movement that you feel like you need right here before you settle into a little bit of stillness. Press your palms into the mat. Feel your forehead and your shin bones root down into the ground. And come into your breath. Taking an inhale through your nose, filling up your lungs. Pausing at the top. And then a gentle exhale out through the nose, letting go of all the air that you've taken in. And pausing at the bottom. Always taking a few moments at the beginning of your class to dedicate to this pace of breath. And then doing your best to maintain this pace throughout the entire practice. But if any time it gets away from you, just acknowledging that, and then the next opportunity coming right back into this nice pattern of breathing. If you're practicing early in the morning, maybe you're a little bit stiff, maybe a little bit tight, or maybe even if you've been practicing later in the afternoon, if you've had a long day sitting at your desk and just haven't really had the opportunity to move around, just kind of be kind to your body. Know that it takes a little bit of time to find that receptiveness, and that it's not the expectation to just have your body do exactly what you think it should in that moment, but being patient and allowing those movements to develop. I'm going to stay here for 2 more rounds of breath. If you start to feel the movement kind of coming back into your body, allow it. If not, that stillness is still just as good. Take 1 more breath in. And 1 more breath out. I'm going to start to work our way up to a tabletop position. So do so however you need. And then feel free to take, again, some just organic movements on your mat, maybe a few cat-cows, maybe some side-to-side body movements. Maybe rolling out the neck, taking the gaze all around the room. Take 1 more breath in. And 1 more breath out. We're going to find a neutral spine. So palms are underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. Extend your right leg straight back behind you, flexing your toes towards the ground. Reach the energy through the crown of the head towards the front of the room. And just try to find this long line of energy, drawing the belly button in towards the spine. See if you can find a slight internal rotation of that back leg so that the toes are directly down towards the ground and not out towards the sidewall. Stay active in the hands, feeling the finger pads into the ground, and then also that knuckle from where the fingers and the palms meet, rooting down into the mat. So you're not dumping into the heels of the hands, but the hands are very, very active. Take another breath in, and another breath out. On your next inhale, reaching through the heel just a little bit more. And as you exhale, we're going to draw that right heel to the outside of the right arm as high up as you can. Inhale, extending all the way back. Again, exhale, draw it into the outside of the arm. One more, breathe in. Exhale, drawing in. And then extending that right leg long, placing the right foot onto the mat, walking the hands around, finding your reverse gate pose. So extending all the way from fingertips to toes. I know you're now off your mat. Just allow that to feel good, so that new surface that you're touching, just kind of lean into it. Find a little bit more space in that right side body. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Release your hands back in towards the center. Lift that right foot out to the side. Step the right foot all the way back, crossing it over to the back left corner of your mat, and take your gaze back to your heel. Reach through the heel. Feel this stretch through the right side of the neck. Take a breath in and a breath out. You're just going to tuck that right knee in behind the left and sit your hips back all the way down to the mat. So you're kind of in this cow-faced pose with your legs. Your hands can be still rooted onto the ground, or your fingertips can be pressing and tented. Take another inhale and another exhale. Press into the hands, start to reach your chest forward. Unwind the legs, extend the right leg straight to the back. And then again, exhale, draw it to the outside. Breathe in, extend. Exhale, drawing in. One more, inhale, reaching back. Exhale, drawing in, extending again out to the side. This time just lifting your body straight up to the front, reaching the arms overhead. Take the right hand onto the left wrist and just pull slightly over towards the right side wall, just looking for a little stretch down that left side body. Coming back into center, releasing your hands either at heart center or down by your sides. And this is where we find our first balance. You're going to start to float this right leg up in front of you. So you're balancing on that left shin. Continue to pull the right thigh bone into its socket, and then gently place the right foot onto the ground. Stepping forward, finding a low lunge, sinking into the legs. Again, taking whatever variation with your arms that you need, but make sure they're active. Try not to sink too far into this lunge here. We still want some activation in the legs. So that right thigh bone continues to pull in so the hips stay square towards the front. We're not dumping in towards that openness on the left side. Lift through the chest, take a breath in and a breath out. Stay for one more inhale. Press energy into the top of the back foot as you draw the right heel closer towards the body. Take one more breath in and one more breath out. We're going to reach back with that left arm. That left leg is going to come perpendicular to your mat, and again, find your long right side reaching all the way, fingertips to toes. If you would like, you can even start to float that right foot a little bit higher. Get even longer on your mat. Take one more breath in and one more breath out. Maybe that right hand comes to the ceiling, right hand comes to the mat, and we find ourselves in our tabletop facing the other direction. Maybe a cat-cow, shaking things out. And
And then finding your neutral spine, and whenever you're ready, extend the left leg straight back behind you. Finding that same line of energy, crown through heel, slight internal rotation of that back foot so that the toes are directly down towards the mat, not out towards the side. Hips are in line with one another, hands are active. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Breathe in, reach through the heel. Exhale, draw in, left knee outside of left arm, squeeze. Breathe in, extend. Exhale, draw in, squeeze. One more, breathe in. And exhale, draw in. Extend that left leg long. Walk the hands over. Sweep the left arm overhead. Long left side body. Reach all the way through the toes. Try to hip the hips and shoulders stacked. Take an inhale and an exhale. Stay for one more breath in and one more breath out. Walk the hands back onto the mat. Find engagement in the outside of that left leg to lift all the way up. Cross behind you to the right corner of your mat. Take your gaze back. Just feel a gentle stretch in the outside of the left neck. And then tucking that left knee behind the right, sitting the hips all the way back. Tensing the fingertips, finding length through the sides. And breathing in. And breathing out. Planting the palms, pulling yourself forward, uncrossing the legs. And then again, exhale, take that left knee, left elbow. Two more, breathe in. And breathe out. One more inhale. Exhale, drawing in, extending the toes, placing the foot down, and starting to lift your chest up towards now the back of the room. Maybe hands are at heart center, maybe they're out to the side, down in front of you. All we're trying to do is find that balance on that right shin. So you're going to draw that left leg in. Continue to stay active through the legs. Like I said, if you fall, no big deal. Find your balance, lifting up. Take one more inhale. And then exhale as gently as you can, lowering the left foot to the ground. Reaching forward, finding your low lunge. Same idea here, we're finding a little bit of a stretch, but we're not dumping open to the right side. So both hip points stay square. Shoulders are stacked on tops of hips. Lifting up through the chest. Top of the back foot is active into the ground. Take a breath in. And a breath out. We stay for one more inhale. And one more exhale. We're going to reach back with the right hand. Plant the hand onto the ground one more time. Taking this long line of energy on the left side. Maybe even floating the left toes. Shoulders and hips are stacked. Energy is strong. Full breath in. And full breath out. Start to release the left hand. Start to release the left knee. And we've made it all the way around on our mat. Again, take a breath in. Find your cow pose, pulling your chest forward towards the front of the room. And then exhale, press the ground away, take a cat. You can sit back for another child's pose if that feels good to you. Continue with a few cat-cows, whatever you need. But we're going to start to work our way into our first downward facing dog. So starting to tuck the toes, lifting the hips up and back. You can keep as deep of a bend in your knees as you need. The heels do not need to be grounded at all, but the energy is rooting down through the heels. The hands are active, pressing into the pointer finger and thumb. Arms are long. Maybe shake up the head, open up the mouth, Let go of any tension in the face and the jaw. Notice what's happening to your belly. Is your belly reaching down to the ground? But see if you can draw your belly button in towards the spine so you keep this strong activation in the core. The head's just kind of falling heavy. Maybe your gaze is at your toes or at your knees, somewhere in between. Take another inhale and another exhale. Start to pull forward on your mat. Find your high plank. Reach through the crown. Send energy through the heels. Press into the hands. So that same activation that you had in your tabletops, your fingertips are rooting down into the ground, and that first knuckle between where the fingers and the palm meet is super active. Take a breath in and a breath out. Squeeze the legs together. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, lower your knees and then release all the way down to the ground. Hands stay by your side. Press into the tops of the feet. Inhale, lift your chest towards the front of the room, finding your cobra pose. And exhale, release. We'll take two more. Breathe in, lift your heart, draw shoulders away from ears. And exhale, lower. One more, inhale, lifting. And exhale, release. Hands on either side of the torso, press the hips back over the heels. Tuck the toes. Downward facing dog. Extend that right leg all the way back behind you, finding your three-legged dog, keeping the hips square. Extending through the heels, so same idea that you had in your spinal balance, just a slight internal rotation of that right hip to make sure that the toes are pointing down, not out. Energy through the arms. Just find a little bit of a stretch here, maybe a deeper bend in that left knee, maybe rise high onto the ball of the left foot. Take one more breath in, and as you exhale, you're going to step that right foot all the way to the right thumb. We're going to lower the left knee down. Sweeping the arms forward and then overhead, again finding this low lunge. Maybe it feels a little bit more comfortable this time through. Maybe the activation in the legs comes right from the start. So again, the hips are square. We've got a little bit of energy towards the front of the mat. The top of the back foot is active. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Stay for one more inhale and one more exhale. Now again, if you can without your hands, another balancing opportunity, bring your hands to your heart center, send your hips back, find your half split. So I want you to think more about reaching your chest towards the front of the room than folding over that front leg. And you still need to really focus on pulling that right thigh bone into its socket. Keep energy into the core. We want everything to be strong and working together. Take a breath in and a breath out. We're going to find that opportunity to float that right heel again, balancing on that left shin. Again, hands can be wherever they need to go to keep yourself balanced. Continue to draw the right thigh bone in. If you fall out of it, no big deal. Place the right foot back onto the mat. Lean forward, find your low lunge. So even though that back knee is grounded, it's still a lot of work in the legs. Continue to press into that right foot. Continue to actively scissor the legs together so they're not going to move, but you've got this energy like the right heel is coming back towards the left knee. Stay for one more breath in and one more breath out. We're going to take that balance one more time. So bring your hands to your heart, find your half split. Drawing that right heel energetically back in space, trying to keep the top of the left foot grounded if you can, a little bit more challenging on the balance. Lifting the chest, seeing if you can float that right heel off the ground one more time. Keeping everything square may help a little bit more. And then again, step that right foot forward, sweep the arms up. This time we're going to reach into that lunge and lift off of that back knee, but the top of the back foot's going to stay grounded. So finding a ton of energy in this right thigh as you reach forward. So it's this long line of energy all the way from finger to top of back left foot. Take another breath in and another breath out. You've got one more inhale and one more exhale. You can bring your hands into heart center or leave them long. We're going to step that left foot forward to the top. Sweep the arms all the way up, find chair pose. Maybe feet are hips width distance apart. Maybe they're a little bit closer, whatever feels most stable to you. Engage in through the core, lengthen through the arms, sink into the heels. With every inhale, maybe you find a little bit of a lift in the chest. And with every exhale, maybe root the heels down a little bit more. 2 more, breathe in. And breathe out. We've got one more inhale. And one more exhale. You're going to root down into the left foot. And as you lift, draw the right knee up towards your chest. Finding your balance here. Hip points are square towards the front of the room. Chest is lifted and that thigh bone is still pulling in towards your center line. We're going to find our figure 4 here. So you're going to cross that right leg over your left and sink back into your chair pose. You can keep your hands up. You can bring them to heart center. You can even have your hands on your leg to find some extra stability. Wherever you are, the upper body is still strong and active. Root down into the 4 corners of the left foot. Sink the hips a little bit lower, probably feeling a nice gentle stretch through that hip. I know I am. Maybe mine are just tight this morning. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Inhale, lifting all the way up. When you get to the top, crossing that right foot in front of the left, taking the right hand to the left wrist, lifting up and over towards the right side wall. Take an inhale and an exhale. We'll switch sides, taking the left wrist to the right, or the left hand to the right wrist, lifting up and then over, just finding a little bit more length through the side bodies. Releasing, hands come overhead, and then exhale all the way down to the mat. Once you get here, just a nice little forward fold. You can walk the hands around on the mat. You can have a nice gentle bend in the knees. Mine are kind of tucked in towards one another. Letting your head fall heavy. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. We're going to walk around to that left side, come onto the balls of the feet, turn ourselves all the way around on our mat. And then gently walk the hands all the way out, finding your high plank pose. We stay for 3. Energy is crown to heels. Hands are active. Legs are squeezing together. Breathing in. And breathing out. You've got one more inhale. And one more exhale. This time maybe inhale, shoulders forward past your wrists. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, press the ground away, upward facing dog or cobra. Press into the tops of the feet, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, sending your hips up and back, finding downward facing dog. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. Same thing on the left side. Inhale, extend that left leg all the way back behind you, finding your posture here for a moment and using this as a pose, not just a transition. Stay active in through the hands, reach through the left heel. Again, slight internal rotation of that left hip. Maybe rise high onto the ball of the right foot. Maybe take a deep bend in that right knee. See if you can get that left leg even higher. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to draw that left foot forward to the left thumb, lowering the back knee down, finding that low lunge. Sweeping the arms all the way up. Same thing, just because we're grounded here in this back leg doesn't necessarily make it any easier, it just makes it different. So continue to press into the left foot, draw the left thigh bone in, keep the hip points square, lifting up through the chest, a ton of work in the core, a ton of work in the legs. Press into the top of that back foot. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Release the hands to heart center, finding your balance, sending back, half splits. Same thing here. It's like you're vacuuming that left thigh bone up into the socket of the hip. The chest is reaching forward, but we're not rounded. We've got this long line of energy in our spine, and our heart is shining now towards the back of the room. Take a breath in and a breath out, finding your opportunity to find that balance. Hands can go wherever they need to, but the thought is the same. Sucking that thigh bone into its socket, engaging into the core, finding lift of that left heel, gently releasing the left foot down, sending the hips forward, low lunge. Active in the legs, take a full breath in and a full breath out. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Again, one more opportunity to test out your balance here on the shins. Hands to heart center, or you can have hands down by your sides to support. Chest reaching forward, active in the legs. So this is kind of this preparation of this engagement for our next posture with trying to find that balance. Lifting your heart, floating the heel, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Last time, gently lowering the foot down, sweeping the arms forward, pressing into the top of the back foot, finding lift through that back knee, so a ton of energy in that left leg, all the way fingertips to toes, reaching long, belly is engaged, not resting on the thigh, but lifting off. Take another breath in. And another breath out, start to step the right foot to the top of the mat, sweep the arms all the way, find your chair pose. Sink down into the legs, press into the four corners of both feet. Again, feet can be hips width distance apart or slightly closer, slightly wider, whatever works in your body. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, sink your hips a little bit lower. Two more, breathe in and breathe out. One more inhale and exhale, sink. Root down into the right leg as you breathe in, lift that left knee with you. Just finding a moment to find your balance. Same idea, left thigh bone pulls in. So we've always got this strong energy coming into our midline. One more inhale. And as you exhale, finding those figure four legs. Hands can be up or at heart center. You can even support, make any adjustments to the positioning in the lower body that you need. If you gently press that left knee away, just so that it's not crunching in towards your body, again, you may find some sensation down the back side of that left hip. I know I am. Maybe keeping that left foot very, very active, flexing, sinking into your chair just a little bit more. Take one more inhale. And one more exhale. Release. Cross the left foot in front of the right. Sweep the arms all the way overhead. Take the left hand, grabbing the right wrist, lifting up and then over towards the side. Just getting a little bit of length here in the side bodies. One more inhale. And one more exhale, switching sides. Right hand grabs left wrist, reaching all the way up and then over. Take an inhale and an exhale, coming in through center, arms overhead, and then exhale, release the hands all the way down to the mat. Taking a moment here in your forward fold, maybe walking the hands around, finding if there's any juicy stretches that you find along the way. And if you find something that feels good, please feel free to stay there for a few moments. Take a breath in and a breath out. We rise high onto the balls of our toes. We walk around towards the right. Turning back around on our mat. Gently walking the hands all the way forward, finding our high plank. We stay for 3. Energy is long, crown to heels. Palms are active, hands are active. Squeezing into the mat, squeeze the legs together. 2 more, breathe in. And breathe out. Stay for one more inhale. And one more exhale. Inhale, shoulders forward or knees down. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, tailbone to the sky, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Inhale, that right leg comes all the way back behind you. Exhale, step that right foot in between the hands. Again, starting off in a low lunge, so lowering the back knee down, sweeping the arms all the way up. Finding that same strength and stability that you've had along the way. Not a ton of weight in that back knee. Legs are super, super active. Take another breath in. And another breath out. Testing our balance in our transition. So maybe keeping your arms up by your side. If it feels better to have your hands are at heart center or down by your sides, please do. But if you can, maybe arms continue to reach long. Start to tuck the back toes under. Find your high lunge. Make any adjustments to the positioning of your feet that you need. Hips continue to stay square towards the front of the room. Arms reaching long. Belly is engaged. Find that engagement now because you're going to need it in a moment. Take a full breath in. And a full breath out. Start to reach forward. Find that mid-lunge, long line of energy all the way from fingertips to heel. Breathing in. And breathing out. You can keep the hands long or bring them to heart center, working our way towards warrior three. Press into the right leg. Extend the left leg back behind you. Keeping hips square, same idea here. Slight internal rotation of that left leg so that the toes point directly down towards the mat and not out towards the side. Try to keep the hips in line with one another. You can have a nice sturdy bend in that right knee, pressing the four corners of the right foot down into the mat. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Stay for one more inhale. And one more exhale. We're going to gently lower those left toes back to where they started. Finding that high lunge. And so right now, think about there's a deep bend in the right knee, and the left leg is fairly straight. It's probably not completely straight. I know mine's not. But that's where I want you to think your energy is. And then we're going to switch. We're going to take a deep bend in the right or in the left knee and try to straighten through the front of the right. Maybe your chest comes forward. You're balancing on that right heel. We're going to flow through this a couple times. So you're going to reach into that low lunge. And then exhale, sink the weight back. The ball of the left foot, the heel of the right. Breathe in, lift forward. Exhale, send it back. Squeezing the legs, pulling in towards your center line. Two more. Breathe in, reach. And exhale, draw it back. One more. Breathe in, lift forward. And exhale, send it back. Reach the arms forward. We're going to plant that back foot down. So maybe you step your back foot in a little bit. And we're going to start to press the weight into the back foot, finding our right foot lifting high. So now maybe the right leg is extended long. It can always be bent if that feels better to you. But pulling that right thigh bone into its socket, lifting up through the arms, engaging through the core. Take an inhale. And on your exhale, find your figure four chair. Sink down into that left leg. Reach the arms long. With every breath in, maybe lifting your chest. And with every breath out, sinking your hips just a little bit lower. Reaching through the arms. Engagement into the core. One more breath in. And one more breath out. Start to fall forward over that folded leg if you can. If not, just go ahead and release it down. Maybe a deeper bend in that left knee. Again, just feeling the difference of the stretch in your legs. And then gently release that right foot over top of the left. Slowly walking your hands out, finding your downward facing dog with your crossed legs. Again, just feeling the differences here. Lengthen through the arms. Try to reach the heels down towards the mat. Again, they may not come even close to touching, but that's the energy you want to feel. Take one more inhale. And one more exhale. We're going to take that left foot from behind, step it forward, and then tiptoe our feet all the way to the top of the mat. When you get there, release the heels down. Root down through the feet. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way overhead. Maybe palms come together, maybe gaze goes with you. And exhale, release the hands all the way down through heart center. Inhale, take an active halfway lift, reach the crown forward, send the hip bones back. Exhale, place the hands, step it back, find your high plank. We stay for 2, take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out, stay for one more inhale. And one more exhale. Inhale, shoulders forward or knees down. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale, tailbone to the sky, downward facing dog. Full round of breath in. And full round of breath out. Same thing on the left side. If the balance didn't go for you so well on the right, let it go. It really does not matter. On your next breath in, left leg reaches long. Exhale, draw forward, left foot to left thumb. Back knee lowers down. Sweep the arms all the way up. Find your low lunge. Even though that back knee is grounded, legs are super active. Hips are square towards the front of the room, pressing into the top of that back foot. Belly is engaged and lifted, spine is long. Full breath in. And full breath out. If you can, without releasing your hands, start to tuck the back toe under, lifting yourself all the way to your high lunge. Make adjustments in your feet if you need to when you get there. You can keep a nice gentle bend in that back knee. It's just going to create a little bit more energy and power through the legs. Take an inhale. And an exhale, we've got one more breath in. And one more breath out. We find that mid-lunge, reaching forward. Again, thinking about keeping your belly pulling up and in so it's not dropping down. We've got this strong corset supporting our low back. Take a breath in. And a breath out. You've got one more inhale. And one more exhale. Release hands to heart center. Keep them long. Start to press the weight into that left foot. Extend the right leg back behind you for your warrior 3. Same thing with that back foot. Keep those toes directly down towards the mat. Try to keep the hips square so it's very natural to want to put all the weight onto the left hip. It's a little bit easier that way. If you square the hips off, have them in line with one another, it takes a little bit more energy and a little bit more balance. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. We stay for one more inhale. And then as you exhale, start to slowly lower the right toes all the way back down to the mat. Sweep the arms back up. Find your high lunge. And now we're going to find that variation front and back. So breathing in, and then as you breathe out, you're going to take a deep bend in the right knee. Find balance on the left heel. Inhale, send your heart forward, find your high lunge. Exhale, send your hips back, find your balance. Squeeze the thigh bones in towards center. Breathe in, reach. Breathe out, send it back. Inhale. And exhale. We've got one more. Breathe in. And breathe out. Reach forward into that lunge. Step the back foot forward enough that you can start to put the left foot down as you start to send the right heel down, as you start to send energy into the right leg and find lift off that left heel. Left leg is extended or bent. Reach up. Take an inhale. And in exhale, a ton of work in the core. Lengthen the tailbone down. One more breath in. Exhale, find your figure four. Sink down into your chair pose. Arms can stay up, supporting on the legs or at heart center. Whatever works for you. Breathing in. And breathing out, we've got one more inhale. And one more exhale, start to fall forward over the legs. Maybe you keep the figure four for just another moment more, just finding a variation in your stretch here. And then whenever you're ready, crossing that left leg over in front of right. One more opportunity to just take a gentle forward fold. A nice little bend in the knees. Again, my right knee is kind of tucked in behind my left. You can take ragdoll arms if that feels good for you, or keep the hands stable onto the ground. If you found something that felt really good when we did this on the other side, feel free to search around. And then start to walk the hands forward, find downward facing dog. And then take that right foot from behind, step it forward, and tiptoe all the way to the top. When you get there, root the heels down. Gently roll up one vertebrae at a time. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way overhead. Maybe gaze goes with you. Maybe a slight little back bend. And exhale, release hands through heart center, all the way down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back. High plank, we stay for two. Squeeze the legs, breathe in. And breathe out. You've got one more inhale. And one more exhale. Inhale, shoulders forward. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale, tailbone to the sky. Downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Inhale, right leg reaches long. Exhale, we're going to draw forward, bring right knee to right wrist, right foot to left hand, finding our half pigeon. Sitting up nice and tall to start, so you've got that kind of figure four leg that you've had throughout your class. Reach up with your chest, shoulders away from your ears, and then whenever you're ready, start to melt forward over that front leg. You can come down to your forearms, you can come down to a block if that's there. You can release all the way over that front leg. Try to keep some activation in that front right foot. So the foot is flexing. And kind of do what you want with that back leg. You can have the toes tucked under, or you can have the top of the foot flat against the ground. Continue to pull your chest forward towards the front of the room. And then come back into your breath. Stay here for two more. Start to work your way back up onto your long arms. Press into the palms, tuck the back toes, And then we're going to send that right leg all the way up and back. If you would like, maybe take a bend in the knee. Maybe take a big hip circle one direction and then the other. Before extending that right leg back down to the ground. And then just switching sides. Inhale, left leg reaches high. Exhale, draw left knee to left wrist, left foot to right hand. Sitting up nice and tall, reaching your chest towards the front of the room. Trying to find that leg maybe closer towards parallel to the front of the mat than usual. Breathing in. And as you exhale, release to whatever capacity feels good to you. Again, the back toes can be tucked or untucked. Some energy into that left foot, flexing it if you can. Staying for 3 more rounds of breath, focusing in on those inhales and exhales of any other thoughts or distractions are coming up for you. Trying to stay present for just a little bit longer. And whenever you're ready, starting to walk your way back up onto your long arms. Tucking the back toes, pressing into the hands, lifting that left leg all the way up. Maybe opening, taking a bend in the knee, big hip circles, one direction and then the other. Before gently placing that left foot down next to your right. Finding one more down dog, pressing into the hands, and drawing the energy down through the heels. Hips are up and back, head is falling heavy. And then one last time, tiptoe your feet all the way to the top of the mat. Rooting your feet down to the ground, slowly rolling up one vertebrae at a time, arms all the way overhead, Urdhva Hastasana, hands come together, maybe gaze goes up. And then exhale, release your hands to heart center. We're gonna lower all the way down to the ground. You can do so in any way that you would like. What I'm gonna go for today is kind of coming onto the blades of my feet. So it's almost like the balls of my feet are touching. I'm gonna take my knees super wide, reach my arms forward. See if you can lower all the way down. When you get there, planting your hips down onto the mat. Reaching the arms forward, feet are firm. Engage in through the core. We're just rolling all the way down. When you get there, setting yourself up for a bridge pose. So your hands are down onto the ground. Your feet are about hips width distance apart, toes pointing towards the front of the room. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to press into your heels. Lift your hips off of the ground. If you have a block here and you like to stay in more of a supported bridge, you can certainly do so. If you'd like a little bit more here, you can start to interlace the fingers together behind your back. Start to draw the shoulder blades closer in towards one another. Press into the backs of the hands to start to lift your chest a little bit higher, which will give your hips a little bit more space as well. Your gaze is just kind of over your belly towards maybe where the ceiling and the wall meet. Pressing into the feet, getting the hips as high up as you can. Take another inhale and another exhale. And gently release, rolling off of one shoulder and then the other, unhooking the hands, slowly lowering all the way down to the mat. Maybe bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall open. Maybe you find a little bit of a shimmy in the hips, just rocking from side to side. We'll take 3 more rounds of bridge, so you can continue to follow along with me, or if there's any other variations that you would prefer, you can take those. So we're going to again set the feet up, but this time find that figure 4. So that right leg is going to come across the left. And you're going to flex that right foot so you've got activation in that right leg. Press into the palms and then send the hips all the way up. Same idea, you can interlace the fingers or just keep the hands flat. Sending the hips higher. Trying to have that right knee in line with the left so it's not super high up and it's not dropping down. So finding whatever positioning works for your body. Take one more inhale. And one more exhale, gently releasing the shoulders, lowering down, uncrossing the right leg. Maybe just windshield wipering the knees from side to side. Taking the same thing on the left. Starting to cross the left leg over the right, flexing the left foot, using your hand to make any adjustments that you need. Press into the palms, take an inhale, and as you exhale, drive into the heel, lift the hips. Again, you can interlace the hands or keep them flat onto the mat, lifting the hips high. Stay for one more inhale. And one more exhale. Gently releasing all the way down. Uncrossing the left leg. Again, windshield wipering the legs from side to side. And we'll do one more with both feet grounded onto the mat just to kind of recenter ourselves. So one last time, both feet firm into the ground, hands are planted, take an inhale, and as you exhale, drive your hips. If you'd like to interlace the hands, if you'd like a wheel pose, if that is part of your practice, that would be an option here as well. Stay lifted for 2 more. And then gently releasing, rolling off of one shoulder and then the other, slowly lowering one vertebrae at a time. Feet can come wide, knees fall in towards one another. Or you can bring soles of the feet together, let the knees fall outwards. You're more than welcome to stay here if you would like a spinal twist. I'm actually going to take mine with a block, so if you have a block handy, great. If not, that's okay. You can just kind of take the same sensation without. This just gives you a little bit more stability. So I'm going to place my block in between my thighs, press into my feet, and send my hips off to the right just a few inches. And then allow my knees to fall over towards the left. So the block is going to give me something to squeeze onto. I want your knees to be stacked. Bring your palms together as you're reaching out over the left side. And then you're just going to open your palms like you're opening a book, and you're going to reach that right arm towards the right side. You can take a gaze down at your knees. Notice if they're still stacked. If they're not, maybe make some adjustments. So it's very likely that that right shoulder is not touching the mat, and that's totally fine. And the gaze can be wherever works best in your body, if it's straight up to the ceiling, if it's over the right hand, over the left. Try to reach through the arms though, so that you feel some energy through the upper body, like somebody's pulling you apart, and then just let it go. And let everything just melt heavy into the ground for a few moments. Taking that right hand, bringing it back in towards center, over towards the left side, kind of pressing into the ground to lift the knees. And then bringing the hips back in through center, and then shift them gently over to the left. Both knees will fall off to the right. You can stack the palms one on top of the other, and then open that left arm overhead like a big book. Maybe take your gaze down at your knees. Notice if they're still stacked. If they're not, make that simple adjustment. Again, very likely that that left shoulder is not grounded, no big deal. Maybe find that energy in the arms like somebody's pulling you apart, and then just release and melt down. Staying here for just a few more moments of stillness, of heaviness. Take one more breath in. And one more breath out. And that left hand's going to come to the right side of the body, pressing into the ground. Just lift your knees back up through center. If you have a block, you can just set it off to the side. Squaring the hips back up on your mat, extending legs long, arms overhead, just taking a full body stretch. If it feels good to, again, grab the opposite wrist and take a little bit of a side body stretch, go ahead and do so. Just finding one last opportunity for just a little bit more length. And then release your hands down by your sides. Feet fall heavy. And giving yourself as much time as you need in your final relaxation pose. And then taking that moment of gratitude for your mind and your body, remembering that every day is a gift.
Thanks for practicing with me today. I hope you have an awesome day.